smoking too, sipping and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all.
Well.
Sounds like a New Year's party, ladies and
Welcome,
gentlemen.
ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast and video extravaganza known internationally
Hi, Mom.
as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. We are on show number 360 as we round out our year of 2023.
Now, I was
are
doing the math, and oddly
Yeah.
enough, right at 360, that is halfway to 400 now.
awesome. I'm so glad we've
Which
hit
is
that
going to be an
milestone.
amazing show. We're going to do, like, there's going to be all, like, elephants
Will there be monkeys?
and monkeys.
Because if there's going to be monkeys, I'm already excited. I always wanted them. That's like a guy thing, right? I've yet to meet a female who's ever said, you know what I would really like? I'd love to have a monkey. But guys, that's more of a guy
Is
thing,
it a mini
right?
me situation?
I don't know. It's like there's a comedian. There's a whole bit on this. Like, wouldn't it be really cool to have a monkey? And I've always kind of thought it would. I understand there are some significant drawbacks. The feces throwing, for example, is a major drawback for any sort of.
I mean, you
pet.
go into it knowing what you're going to get. It's
Yeah,
not like
I mean,
it's not like this is new news.
Yeah, I mean, I've had many dogs. Some of them have been, just absolutely wonderful. None of them has ever tried to throw poop at me. So, but monkeys, apparently, that's a thing.
Yes.
Monkeys
It
throw
is.
poo.
I don't know why that is. I think they're just expressive in that way.
Hi, Mark. This is how our show's starting out today.
It's always been a dream of mine to talk about monkey poop on the radio.
Let's welcome our wine expert for smoking and toasting, and our good friend, Mr. Marc Borel, back to the
Hey
show.
there. Hi
Marc,
there.
welcome. This is
Thank you.
perfect
Great to be
timing to
here.
have you on as people are planning their last minute preparations for New Year's Eve parties.
That's
and
right, yeah.
Looking into a brand new year. And New Year's Eve parties are always, they're one of the more drinkinest sort of parties. Like I remember from back when I used to work at nightclubs.
You've now obviously not been to my house.
Yeah. Well,
Sounds like a Tuesday.
yeah. But back when I used to work in nightclubs, the big nights were Halloween weekend and New Year's weekend. Those were like when you just sold, alcohol like it was nobody's business.
By the way, public service reminder, if you're listening to this on the radio, go buy your liquor today
Right.
in these states where you can only buy liquor Monday through
Right,
Saturday.
right, because they'll be
Because
closed
tomorrow-
on Monday, and tomorrow you ain't
you get
getting
none.
it.
You
Yeah.
can buy beer, but
Reminds me when I lived in Massachusetts, they didn't sell on Sundays, but we could take a short drive up to New Hampshire and buy it. And technically, it wasn't legal to take it across the state line.
Right.
But nobody ever paid attention
I'm
to
sure the
that
cops
law.
were stopping everybody, right?
Yeah,
No, not at all.
Exactly. So, but as I've mentioned on the show before, in Massachusetts, they have this thing where you can't buy liquor on Sundays because that's the Lord's Day,
That's right.
except between Thanksgiving and New Year's when it's allowed.
Because that's when you're celebrating.
Right, because that's when
Jesus'
the holy
birthday.
time of the year.
What's happening
But
there?
you're allowed to actually
So
buy
during the most holy time
liquor
of the
on a
year,
Sunday.
you can buy liquor.
Exactly,
So,
because
I get that.
they got tired of losing all that money to New Hampshire and surrounding states, New Hampshire, Connecticut's up.
Revenue
Jesus made the
loss-
water into wine.
Yeah, that's
Revenue
right.
loss
That's
beats
right.
out religion here.
And by the way, not that I'm a religious scholar, but for the people who say that when Jesus made water into wine, that it was non-alcoholic, that's actually disproven by the Bible. Because people came up to Jesus in this story and said to him, wow, usually people serve the good wine first and they save the cheaper wine for after people have drunk the better wine because they won't notice. You have saved the best wine for last. And the only way they wouldn't notice in this example is if they were already a little tipsy from the good wine that was the first served. So that right there disproves the notion that Jesus turning water into wine was non-alcoholic.
Also, wine has
it wasn't just grape juice.
wine has alcohol in it. Otherwise, it's just grape juice.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's no
Even
such
if
thing
it's
really as
even if it's a low amount,
right.
because they were doing that to get rid of a lot of bad things in the water.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Well,
to
and the
clean the
definition
water.
of wine is a fermented.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you. Right.
yeah.
So
That was
there'd
like
be
the
no
only
reason-
thing they had to do then, too.
So if it had not been alcoholic, the scripture would have said that Jesus turned it into grape juice.
Right. Just like if you make non-alcoholic beer. Remember we had our non-alcoholic beer taste test. Mostly it was barley soup.
Right. Exactly.
It was effervescent barley
And a
soup.
few of them were somewhat tasty, and most of them weren't. But
Most
that
of them
was-
not so much.
That was the way that went. Well, Marc Borel, our smoking and toasting wine expert, who is here with us on the show and has brought what I'm assuming are going to be wonderful wines for us to taste. Marc is also the beverage manager, beverage director for the Rainbow Lodge in Houston. And I know we had an episode a while back where Ian was out of town, and I had contacted you to see if you wanted to come in and co-host. And you liked the idea, but you were unable to do it because you were in Tequila getting a barrel for the lodge.
You
That's
and
right,
your
yeah.
excuses.
Yeah,
I know.
so
Sorry, guys.
So I have to take this moment to say, how did that go, and what's the barrel, and is it something we can order if we come to the lodge?
Soon.
Okay.
Soon. There needs to be. There was a little mix-up, and there needs to be one more tiny trip. But
I love this
One
guy's
more
job.
tiny trip.
Okay.
somebody's got to do it.
Tequila. Oops, guys.
Yeah. Apparently,
My
there's
birthday's coming up, and I need to make this extra little trip to Tequila.
Well, I don't know if you recall when we did the tequila tasting,
yes.
the bracket, the
Yeah,
tequila bracket
right.
with Liliana,
When
right?
Liliana was here, we did the tequila blind taste test.
And I brought a bottle of a potential that I thought might be the place that we go to
Right.
source our barrel. Well, it absolutely was. It was from Rete, and we have secured a barrel of their Suave Reposado for use in many things, but the primary thing is our famous hibiscus margarita.
Oh, nice.
that
How
we-
do we rate that on our taste test?
It wasn't part of it. I brought it as
It was-
brought
was
as an
a-
extra. That's
it was
what
just an extra thing.
Because we hadn't had enough tequila that day,
That's
so
it.
Marc stepped in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to get jogged a little bit.
But I wanted your opinion on it, and they seemed rather favorable, and it was one of the things that I chose when I went to go by there, and it was great. We had a great time.
Good.
Yeah.
And then you have this other barrel coming. This is a different one.
So that wasn't part of the barrel. That was just the bottle that was
Okay.
pulled off the shelf. Their regular Reposado. They make three different tiers
Right.
of Reposado. This is kind of in their middle tier. It's in, I don't know, $60 or $70 for a bottle of Repo, and we just thought that would be the perfect thing.
Be
And
the
so-
sweet spot, especially
Yeah.
for some of those nice mixed drinks.
Those cocktails,
Yep.
yes, absolutely. Well, all right, I got to
But
get back to the lodge.
I'll tell you what. Well, I'll come back with one of the bottles after once it's been secured and brought in. And,
How long will it take you guys to go
Accepted.
through a barrel when you get a barrel like that?
ooh, I don't think this one will take very long at all.
Depends on whether
it's
Ian and
apparently
I
it's that kind of good.
depends on
10
whether Ian and I show up for dinner or not. That's that
well,
will
I'll
impact
give you
it
I'll give you
directly.
some parameters. The 10-year Whistle Pig that we brought in lasted 4 months. The barrel of 1792 that we brought in lasted 3.
Wow.
I think this tequila, I'll get more out of it because it's a bit higher proof. I think this tequila might go 4 or 5 months, maybe.
Now, is it like on those other ones? Is it mainly cocktails, or are you also serving drams of you know.
Yes, it's on the. The answer is yes.
Little both,
It's on the
right.
menu, so people can order it as is, or. But one of the things that we consider when we buy a barrel is, all right, so who's going to drink it with Coke or Dr. Pepper, and who's going to want it with Sprite, and who's
Right.
going to just have it with ice, and who's going to drink it on its own neat,
Right.
you know, that kind of. So we think about those kinds of things, and we might have chosen a different barrel had we specified that was only going to be served neat.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But
Well-
that's part of it. That's part of the job of like knowing your drink and going, okay, this is going to make all these things happen.
Is
I'll
tequila,
keep that in mind.
Tequila and Sprite a thing? I've never had that.
He's like,
Tequila
sure.
and Sprite, sure, yeah, I guess. I mean, I like tequila anyway, but
Yeah, there's not really a bad way to do tequila. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know whether there'll be a good way to do this or not, but we do have a mystery beverage for the show today. And this one actually is one that Terry, our engineering producer, brought.
It's fruity.
And we're looking at it, and it looks like the color of a watermelon Jolly Rancher.
It smells fruity.
Does it smell
like-
watermelon-y, or is it more strawberry?
fizzy Jello.
Oh, strawberry almost.
Yeah,
I would,
is.
I would
very
say more
berry.
strawberry, yeah.
It is fizzy Jello is a good way to
It
put it.
tastes
It
like-
does smell like a Jello shot taste.
Yes.
Oh,
Like the strawberry
Well-
candies your grandma used to get that were wrapped up with that jelly center or whatever, the hard
yeah,
ones that
yeah.
look
it's
like
not
a strawberry.
shy on the sweet.
No, it's not. It's
I
like,
think I'm going
ooh.
through a little bit of palate shock there.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
Because I was drinking. Ian brought some show beers, and I had a St. Arnold Christmas ale, and this is definitely palate
Yeah.
shock from that.
It is.
Yeah,
I've never had it before.
Now, are we supposed to know whether this has booze in it or not?
Well, the mystery bevs
just
generally
a
do
mystery
have
bev.
booze. Yeah, I think we might occasionally do like a non-alcoholic beer or something for one, but generally these are going to have booze, especially the ones that aren't beer. You know?
Yeah.
All right, so you call me crazy. Yes, it's cloyingly sweet, but it's also now after it's been a few moments, there's a little, not a crazy spicy kick, but there's a little kick of something.
Almost like ginger does, at
Yeah.
the end. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of spicy in a weird kind of way.
I'm trying to figure out if I pick up alcohol in it. I think I do a little on the
I
finish.
don't know if I was getting it.
I'm trying to figure out if I actually kind of like it or kind of hate it. I don't really know. I'm somewhere.
I
in
know
between.
what you mean. Like on the one hand, it feels like
It's
you could
way
like
too
this,
sweet.
but it's way too sweet, and it just kind of like.
But then when I'm done and I get that little aftertaste, the aftertaste is kind of good.
Yeah. It's a
And
little
I kinda
different
want
going
a little
in
more.
than
until it's not, though. Yeah.
And the reason I asked about the booze is because I think because it is so sweet, if it were diluted with something boozy, like
That wouldn't
like a
necessarily be
spirit.
diluting
Right.
it, but
gin, like a spicy gin would go great in this.
And some
Tastes
ice,
like candy.
maybe.
Terry, you want to
cut some of
reveal?
the
Terry,
sharp.
Terry brought this in. Terry's going to do the big reveal for us here.
It's
It is pirate water.
Pirate water.
what is happening here? I have no idea what's happening here.
Pirate water. It is 10% alcohol by volume.
Yeah, put
which
a
I
little
would not
vodka in
have-
that.
I didn't get that.
I
I would
had
not have known. So
I had no idea it was as red as the can, though. I thought it was going to be like a clear since it said water.
We'll add this to the list of the many things that I don't understand on today's show. But the pirate apparently has a stool, like a bar stool, in the thing of his hat. I don't know what that's all about. Why
It's a
would it
very
be the
happy-looking
stool?
pirate.
It is for a skull. He's pretty smiley.
And is he wearing sunglasses or are those gaping
I think those
eye
are just
holes?
gaping eye holes.
Or
I'll
are they
hand that
patches
over
like
to
they're
you.
shaped in
Where
kind of a
in the
funny
hell
way?
did you get pirate water?
It was it was either Walmart or HEB. It was
Okay.
one of those places, and
So
I want
I
to say
wanna-
it was like
I want
Walmart.
to
Someone
point out a
random
couple
like
things. At the top of
Walmart.
this, it says Miami Vice.
It does. I didn't notice that.
It gets better. At
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bottom, it says Viva la Stool.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
What is going on?
I don't know why it would say that, but
I don't know what's happening with this.
just a little advice to the pirate water people. Maybe go with Viva la Barstool. Maybe that would work a little better.
Yes, because now I'm a bit worried about my ride home.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I don't
Okay.
remember anything, but my backside hurts.
Well, I want to like it because it's pirate water, but I got to say, I really don't.
I don't think I'd reach for this.
Yeah. Would
Like,
you reach
it
for
has
it if
redeeming qualities like the 10%.
yeah, if it were the only alcoholic beverage being served at a party, would you go for this or would you just go water?
Ah, that's a good question. Malt beverage with natural and artificial flavors and certified color.
Well, certified. Thank God for that. We got to take
That's
a
what I
break.
was tasting.
We'll be back to talk cigars and to talk wine as well. And we definitely got to do a palate cleanse from this before we start on any of the wine. It's Smoking and Toasting, and we'll be right back.
Yar.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, which Ian just opened his second show beer to try to do a palate cleanse.
I'm trying to wash out the pirate water.
Craft beer.
I feel like my tongue has been keel hauled.
Craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. The only thing I think I really like about the pirate water is the ability that it gives me to ask this question: where does the pirate go to drink the pirate water?
Yard.
To the bar.
To the bar. This says Viva La Stool.
Yeah, it does. And I have a feeling I may know why.
And this one can, this 1 pint can, pardon me, I was just burping it up, is 3.25 servings.
Servings. Not
That's
just
what
3
this
servings,
says.
3.25
It
servings.
says alcohol facts, serving size 5 fluid ounces, servings per container 3.25.
Yikes. How many carbs per serving?
All of them.
Yeah. I thought so. So moving on towards perhaps more pleasant things, Ian, did you have an opportunity to smoke anything interesting this week?
Oh, it's funny you should ask.
Yeah, I do frequently.
Because, I did.
Yeah. I have a feeling you may have gone to Casa.
I did. I stopped by this morning. I had to go get my oil changed, and on my way back was Casa. So I ended up there a little early. It was nice. I picked up a Charter Oak Especiales 2023. This was I had the name of it up here, but I can't find it yet. Why is it not reading? Oh, okay. The Especiales Pasquale.
That's easy for you to say.
It is easy for me to say. So that's, by the way, Spanish for special Pasquale.
Okay, gotcha.
This is a 5.5 by 48 with a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper, Jalapa, Nicaragua binder, and filler from Esteli and Jalapa, Nicaragua. The appearance: dark espresso brown wrapper, rustic and veiny, softbox press, single band. The little Charter Oak band with the tree on is pretty awesome.
Nice, yeah.
The pre-light sniff, earthy and sweet with some chocolate. The pre-light draw, I used a clip on this. It had a little pigtail on the end. It was kind of neat.
Nice, yeah.
I used a clip on this medium draw, barnyard and earth, sweet coffee. The initial light, Nicaraguan pepper blast with some earth to it. Incredibly dense smoke, like right off the bat. Like that smoke was huge. The retrohale's bold roasted coffee bean and pepper. I almost put the comma in the wrong place, and it would be like bean and pepper. That would be different. Anyway, the first third of this gritty, earthy, dark chocolate with a peppery background. Dark fruit weaves in and out on its own schedule. Retrohale is chocolate, espresso, and pepper. Solid ash, good burn. This is about a medium cigar. Mm-hmm. So all these medium tipping into full, by the way. So all these flavors are pretty bold in there.
Yeah.
If you're into very light cigars, don't smoke this. But if you're in the medium range, you want to tip a little bit into the full range. This is 100%.
Okay.
The second third of this, a bit of sweetness picks up and morphs the primary flavors into a dark mocha brownie batter. Pepper remains consistent. Retrohale is chocolate espresso with a touch of spicy pepper, solid ash, good burn. The last third of the cigar, pepper and sweet reach a new balance, and a creamy coffee note rolls in along with a kiss of cedar. The retro is sweet coffee and cedar, solid ash, good burn. $13 for this cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a 6.
And what size was it?
This is 5.5 by 48.
Okay, so it's
so not too small. But $13, a solid 6. I'm gonna buy this again and again. This was
at $13. You feel like it's a 6.
It was outrageously good.
For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, including some of our listeners in New Orleans, where we now have an affiliate for Smoking and Toasting, our scale for the price to quality that we do for cigars is a 1 to 10 scale, but a 5 means that you got what you paid for. Mm-hmm. So Ian giving this cigar a 6 as a $13 cigar, it's big. Really good rating.
Such a good cigar.
Oh,
and
good.
it burned great. Like it burned a long time too.
Well, I will tell you about mine. Plus, we'll begin with our wine tasting for the new year with our wine expert, Marc Borel, in our next segment. You were watching and listening to Smoking and Toasting. We'll be right back. Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And we I particularly love when we have Marc Borel on the show, our wine expert, because not only is he just fun to hang out with, but wine is one of the things, like I love wine, but of all the things in the world of spirits and wine, it's probably what I understand the least. So I love having Marc come on and point us in the right direction.
It's nice having a certified badass wine dude.
Exactly. And so that's what we got
put that
today.
on my business card.
Certified badass wine dude.
I'm down.
I like that. Also on the show today, we are going to be tasting a couple of other things.
Quoting you on the website.
I brought, by the way, one more holiday beer. We did our holiday beer show, last week with Adam, our producer in the sky, who joined us in the studio. But I found one more, and I couldn't resist bringing it onto the show because it is brewed in Oxfordshire, England.
Oh.
And it is from a company called Ridgeway Brewing. And the name of the beer is Very Bad Elf Special Reserve Ale.
Nice.
So just for the
That's a little
artwork and the
difficult to
name,
pass up.
Yeah, I couldn't pass it up, even though we already did that show. Yeah. So this will be a sort of a coda to that. Plus, we'll be tasting a tequila Monte Fino Anejo. It's a nice looking bottle, just very understated. So looking forward to that on the program.
Can you tell me the name of that beer again? Who makes it?
It is made by Ridgeway Brewing in Oxfordshire, England.
I would like to put a pin in that. Just
okay.
Bookmark
we'll
that.
come back to that
Sidebar.
when we taste that beer.
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Fair enough. And in addition to the Tequila Monte Fino, we'll tell you about some cigars to watch for on today's show. A few other things happening in the spirits and cigar industries. And, of course, we will bring you drinking news, which at this time, we haven't done our drinking news teaser headline, so I think we should. Our teaser headline for today's drinking news story is giving a whole new meaning to playing possum. That's coming up on Drinking News. Right now, though, I think it's time to get into some wine as soon as I share with you the cigar that I had this week. So let me do this real quick, and then we'll taste some wine because they're sitting here tempting me.
Taunting us.
Yeah, taunting me. The cigar that I had this week that I wanted to talk about on the show was from H. Upmann. It's their line called the Banker and the cigar called Currency, which is their Robusto size. Now, according to Cigar Legend, Carl and Hermann Upmann, the H in H. Upmann, a pair of ambitious German bankers, traveled to Cuba in 1844 with the intention of creating the perfect cigar. The top secret blend was reserved solely for their most important, in other words, wealthiest clients, and was locked in a vault to keep it away from prying eyes. Unfortunately, the bank burned down in the 1920s, but that didn't stop the H. Upmann Company from applying that intriguing story to a cigar they released a few years ago called the H. Upmann Banker. Now, the Banker uses an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper over a Nicaraguan binder and long filter leaves from Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. The pre-light sniff and cold draw in this cigar both gave me hay and grass notes and a hint of something very similar to raisins. You ever get that on a cold draw on a cigar?
Somewhere between a raisin and a date kind of thing.
Exactly. Well, once I got the Banker lit up, it was pretty interesting. I actually got a miniature version of the Nicaraguan Pepper Blast, which I was not expecting. The Banker looks so prim and proper, just the way it's packaged and the name. It's not like cigars with names like Diesel and the Chisel and Bone Shaker. So it surprised me a little bit. Once the pepper settled down, I was able to detect earth and some cocoa. Finish also had a kind of a toasty quality to it, which made this one different from a lot of other Nicaraguan cigars, at least that I've smoked. Second, third kept up the pepper, which even though it wasn't overpowering, it was still by far the dominant note. I also got a hint of anise, which for me is not a good thing since I don't particularly care for that sort of fennel or licorice kind of taste and smell. I was thankful in this case that the pepper was dominant, so it kind of reigned over the anise flavor. No burn or construction issues so far, although the cigar did feel like it had a couple of soft spots. It burned right through with no issues, so that was good. First third's ash hung on the whole way, but after that it seemed to get a little flakier and not as prone to sticking around. The final third, pepper, earth, anise, and toast. Pepper ramped up a little bit on the finish. Burn line stayed reasonably straight all the way through. The banker started out mild to medium, but by the last third it ticked up all the way to full-bodied. But although the strength of the cigar built from inch to inch as it smoked, the flavors didn't change that much from one third to the next. So I did enjoy the banker. Yeah, didn't blow me away, but it was nice. Almost knocked over this wine. I've got to be careful about gesturing with my hands. So anyway, it was nice. And that gives me a problem with this one when it comes to the price. The Banker Currency Robusto is a $9 cigar. By comparison, the H. Upmann by A.J. Fernandez is only 50 cents more. And it's the best 50 cents you could spend. The Banker just doesn't measure up for me at that price. The account is overdrawn. And a note to the good folks at H. Upmann, if this really is a recreation of the perfect cigar, you might want to switch banks. I did once. I was a Bank of America customer. Never again. But that's another story for another day. Price to quality, 4.5.
Excuse me, Mrs. Banker lady. I think my interest is rising.
I can't believe that's. I think we
It's
need
the pirate water.
I think we
Yeah,
need.
I blame
I've always blamed the pirate water. The pirate water. Yes. Yeah.
I almost said I think my interest is rising, but
Yeah. What did you do to access the drive-through, sir? I went through it in my car. This is Terry's fault, by the way. He's the one who opened the door for bad pirate jokes for the rest of the show.
Oh my goodness!
Let's talk about something good, or I hope it's good. Marc
No
Borel,
stools allowed.
Marc Borel is our wine specialist. Our wine specialist. He's brought in some great festive holiday wines, perfect for the New Year's celebration. So,
Yeah.
Marc, let's start with the first red. Here.
So here we are drinking Oregon. This is from a producer called Trisatum, who one of my favorite producers in Oregon. So the Oregon wine movement predominantly runs from just south of Portland, and it goes all the way down to the state line.
Okay.
It's such a dark berry kind
This
of
is
note
where
to it.
the vineyards are. you're
These
saying.
are most of them, and they sit in between these two mountain ranges. And the interesting thing about the Oregon, the soil in this part, because it's millennia ago when the Missoula floods came through. This is the kind of, and then the volcanic activity with all the mountain ranges. This is the kind of soil that you'll find that has been marbled like crazy. There's, I don't know, 4 or 5 different types of soil that they're through there, and there are some producers who are taking advantage of that by mapping out where on their property these soils kind of run.
Crisscross.
Interesting.
Some of them have even gone so far as to pull specific fruit from vines in this patch of soil before this one. And these soil patches that they're talking about, they're not square. They're not easily defined that way. They've kind
They
of
wander, yeah.
marble through, and this is one of them. Now this comes from a specific state called the Coast Range that the Trisatum people farm. And so this is 100% Pinot Noir because in this part of Oregon, you get these Burgundian varietals like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And I chose this because the earthier characteristics, that volcanic soil often gives Pinot a bit earthier characteristic than you'll find
I
in.
was just going to say, on the nose, it's got a more rich sort of earthy quality to it
Berry kind of
than I'm
quality
used to
to it.
from a Pinot, right? Because I'm used
There's
to.
also kind of like, and I haven't even tasted it yet, but there's also like a little underlying kind of butteriness that I kind of.
Well, Pinot, depending on where it comes from,
Right.
is known for specific characteristics. The acid comes in Burgundy, but it's very, very good with food. It's also quite expensive. The fruit comes from, say, Sonoma County, Northern California. That's this big, like, cherry cola butter bomb, big berry bomb that you get in that part. Southern California and Santa Barbara County does a really great job with Pinot Noir, but that earthy, that a bit bolder, almost heavier characteristic of Pinot Noir, we're talking Oregon. And it's great for the food that you have this time of year.
Yeah, this is outstanding.
The
this
finish on
the
this
finish is beautiful.
is outrageous. It's a little astringent, but it lingers, and it's got those bold berry notes, and then it just kind of trails off into this tannic, wonderful thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
It has this really incredible finish that I think is just so lovely because you're still getting some of the berries, you're still getting some of the fruit, but that astringency, that pleasant astringency that kind of carries through is just lovely. And again, goes great with the kind of food that you have this time of year.
It's a weird
If you were
line
lucky
between
enough
like
to-
astringent and dry too.
Yeah.
It's like it's there's a gray line between the two, and it's kind of on one edge of that.
I often, and I may have done this on the show once or twice, but there's a example that I like to give for this astringency. Go with me here. You're in the grocery store, and you come across the grapes, right? And you pick one of the grapes up, and you put it in your mouth, and you bite into it, and immediately you get that burst, and it's a lot of liquid. And then as you keep chewing, you're tasting the meat of the berry, right? But as you chew further and further, your mouth gets dry. It becomes a little bitter, but in a good way. And that's the skins and the seeds that are
Right.
left over, right? That's tannins. And Pinot Noir doesn't often have a lot of it. There are some that carry some of it. That's what you're getting in this. You're getting some of that texture. You're getting a little bit of body. But it's the tannic structure of the berries that you're actually tasting from this. It wouldn't surprise me, and I don't know this, I probably could have done some research, but it wouldn't surprise me if at least part of this wine was made with whole cluster. In other words, with the stems
Stems and everything.
and everything like crushed.
See,
through
I
there.
totally get that because this has a very distinct, when you talk about the wine skin or the grape skin, like you very distinctly get that flavor in this more so than in a lot of other Pinots. Yeah.
But it still tastes like fruit and
Right, absolutely.
the grapes and this is one of my favorite producers in Oregon. I really love it. And again, if you were lucky enough last week to have a goose with your Christmas dinner, this is something that would be great
I
with
bet,
it.
yeah.
Pork. This is great with pork. This would be really good with roasted or grilled seafood that have a bit of char to it.
could see that.
Yeah.
Is Oregon an unsung wine area?
Ooh, I think so, but I think people are starting to get the word. The thing is if, and I'm sure many of your listeners have been to Napa. The thing is when you drive through Napa, it's one huge house after another. I call it Disneyland because you're just moving through and you're seeing these giant like structures. As in Oregon, it's much more homey. Like you can go to the local bar where they're singing Barry Manilow's Copacabana and karaoke, and he's got dirt under his nails because he's farmed all day long.
And
and
he's
these
out
are
singing Copacabana?
perhaps.
I
Maybe,
love that. I love that.
Barry Manilow wrote the song to make the whole world sing. So
He
Yes.
wrote the songs.
but my point is, it's a bit more low key. People are. It's a great place to visit, and it's really close to. You could be at a winery 20 minutes from the city of Portland, and you can go further to get some really great gems, but you don't have to go very far from Portland.
Well, when it comes to this Pinot, which is called, how do you pronounce the name?
Trisatum.
Trisatum. When it comes to Trisatum, I just like to say, looks like they made it. I mean, this is really acceptable.
Hi, Mary.
What I love, my wife is a Fanalo, by the way. She is.
Am I wrong?
Die
Does
hard
she have the same
Fanalo.
birthday as him?
Yeah. She's just an absolute Fanalo, and I scored. I will tell you this story. I scored the biggest points ever several Valentine's days ago when I swept her off to Vegas to see Barry Manilow in Vegas on Valentine's Day, second row seats.
Ooh.
Yeah. You want to talk about a man with a future?
Nice
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That was a very good trip to Vegas. Even though I lost money, I didn't care. It was awesome. It was awesome. I always lose money when I
When
go
you
to
make a
Vegas.
lady happy, it's a good thing.
That's
Yeah.
right. It's a
You can
wonderful.
come home
Exactly.
from Vegas with a huge amount of money as long as you bring a much larger amount of money when you go there.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And my rule for Vegas is always make sure the return flight home is paid for in advance.
Yeah, but you know,
Yes.
you'll never be able to pay money-wise for the happiness you gave her over the years. But honey, remember that time
Dude.
So
Yeah.
that's more than
I can-
any
I
money
get to
you
pull
won
that out.
coming back from
I
that.
get to pull that one out at any
Yeah,
time
The
I want
Manilow
to.
card.
Yeah.
The Manilow card. Thank you very much.
Nice job.
But just back to this wine real quick. What I love about it is, to my very pedestrian wine understanding, this drinks like a Pinot mouthfeel wise, but it's a little bit bolder flavor wise, more like a Cabernet or something else. Am I stating a thing that's correct there?
Let me just say this: the difference between the two wines that are currently poured on the table, you can actually see the difference. You can see that this is a lighter bodied wine,
Right.
than what we have here. That's kind of the difference we're talking about. You start off with Pinot, you end with Cabernet, even if you even get that far,
All right. All right.
because of that.
And we may end not only with Cabernet, but with something sparkling as we do wines for the holidays with our wine expert, Marc Borel. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And today it's about wine as we get ready to celebrate New Year's and go into New Year's Eve with some really, really good wines. Mark, what is the biggest wine holiday of the year? Is it New Year's, especially when you consider champagne?
Geez, at the
and bubbly?
lodge, because we celebrate everything.
Right.
And not just everything, but everyone. It's, after 47 years, people come to see us for all of their celebrations.
I love that. Yeah.
So it's somebody's anniversary every day. It's somebody's, we got engaged here, or it's a birthday, or
You guys don't want to do one of those silly birthday songs, do you?
no, but
Another reason to go to the Rainbow Lodge.
I
often said,
get a phone call about it
Yeah.
twice a week asking if we sing to them.
Happy birthday.
We don't.
No.
to you.
I hate those things
There's
so
there's
much
a dignity involved with that.
I feel like rewarding any restaurant which refuses to do it. And let me go on record as saying the Rainbow Lodge is one of those restaurants, and they will be rewarded with even more of my business from now on, now that I know that to be a fact.
I'm absolutely going to sing to you the next time.
Okay, good. You can sing. That's okay.
That will not stop me from running in and joining him.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey,
Call
listen, if you can sing, it's fine. But I don't need a whole group of servers and barbacks standing around going happy, happy, happy. Although, if you go to any of the major chain restaurants, they all have kind of their own version
Yes.
of the happy birthday song.
Leftover as a
they'll
knee
have-
jerk for when they'd have to pay for happy birthday.
Right, one from Chili's
Do you
and
think
one
that's
from
an ASCAP
Panera
or
Bread.
BMI issue?
Oh, I don't know.
Not
That's
anymore.
interesting.
No. You used to have to pay for happy birthday. That's why everybody did it. But a few years ago, happy birthday finally became old
Passed
enough
the
public
pa-
domain.
that it
domain.
passed the public and it became public domain. So now you'll see a lot more places do it.
Okay.
But before then, that's why all the TV shows and everyone always had to fake it.
We are only going to get to one beer today. We're going to do the very angry elf beer, one more holiday beer. But I wanted to share with you an interesting article from VinePair, which is a great wine site, among other things. They did an article where they called out the 30 best beers in America. So I thought this would be an interesting thing for us to zip through here. From San Diego, they included North Park Beer Company. I've never had a North Park beer. From Largo, Florida, Arcane Ale Works, which I love the name. And I'm looking at some of their cans. I love the artwork. I love everything about it. Have not had one of those. Masthead Brewing Company from Cleveland. I have had their IPA.
I was going to say, I think we've tried that.
Yeah, I believe, which that's interesting. OEC Brewing out of Oxford, Connecticut. And we recently
Not
had,
to be confused with OE.
yeah, but we recently had one of their Feist beers, one of their festival beers here on the show. And it was quite good, as I remember. A brewery in Atlanta is called Halfway Crooks. that made the list. Kind of like that. From Littleton, New Hampshire, the Schilling Beer Company. We've had beers from them on the show before. Ghost Town Brewing out of Oakland makes the list. Birmingham District Brewing Company from Birmingham, Alabama. I have not had their beers, but the ones in the photo in the article look pretty delicious. Then from
I don't
Grace
think we've
Lake,
seen a whole lot of beers from Alabama, have we?
I don't think we have. From Grays Lake, Illinois, there's the Light the Lamp Brewery. And from Hudson, New York, the Suarez Family Brewery. So there's a lot of these that we're not aware of here on the show. And we need to, I don't know if we need to hit the road. We need to do something to expand our beer universe here, I think, because that's important. Duluth, Georgia, Good Word Brewing and Public House makes the list. From Park City, Utah, Offset Beer Company, with beer spelled B-I-E-R. Jackie O's Brewery in Athens, Ohio. Very cool name, cool cans. I like it. Oxbow Brewing Company from Newcastle, Maine. We have had Oxbow's brews on the show before. And from Fargo, North Dakota, we're familiar with this one, the Drecker Brewing Company. These guys do some very off the beaten path type of beers, and I really like them. IMBIB, or Imbibe Custom Brews out of Reno, Nevada. Allagash Brewing Company out of Portland. We've had those guys' beers on the show before. New Heights out of Nashville, which we've had. Brewery ARS out of Philadelphia. Not familiar with that. Fluvial Brewing from Harrison, Maine.
That's fun to say, though.
It is. Structures Brewing from Bellingham, Washington. And from Austin, Texas, Jester King Brewery
Jester King,
makes the
amazing.
list. And those guys really are good. Bottle Logic from Anaheim, California, which we've had. Gazelle Brewing Company out of Newton, Iowa. Hella Coastal out of Oakland, California. That's kind of fun. Fox Farm Brewery out of Salem, Connecticut. Inner Voice Brewery out of Decatur, Georgia. Forager Brewery out of Rochester, Minnesota. And Tactical Brewing Company from Orlando, Florida. So, and there's one more, Stoop Brewing, S-T-O-U-P Brewing out of Seattle. So that's what VinePair is saying are the 30 best craft breweries in the U.S. And the fact that we've had beers from less than a third of them is a real crime, and we're going to step up our game in 2024. I can promise you that. We also will take a break. Thank you for being here. It's Smoking and Toasting. Drinking News still on the way, and more wines with Marc Borel. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Today, we're also about wine with our wine expert, Marc Borel, on the program. And thank you, Marc, for joining us again and for bringing already one outstanding wine. I can't wait to get to the rest of these. A couple cigars to watch for. Two of Rocky Patel's newest brands have arrived at retail shops, and one of them is the most expensive cigar he's ever made. The Rocky Patel Dark Star and the Rocky Patel Conviction are appearing in cigar shops as of this last month. Conviction is a one-size line with a price tag of $100 per cigar. It's primarily Nicaraguan, and the Dark Star, which is also in shops, is rolled in Honduras and contains a highly unusual ingredient in the tobacco blend, a bit of tobacco grown in Honduras from a seed that originated in Paraguay. I would like to point out that Adam, our producer in the sky, who was on the show last week, who also happens to be my stepson, bought me cigars for Christmas this year. And one of the ones he gave me was one of these Rocky Patel cigars.
Wow!
Not the $100 one, but the other one, the Dark Star.
Adam, I thought you were cool for about a minute.
So I look forward to trying it. I'll save it for a show that we talk about here on the show. But Dark Star comes in 4 sizes, and it's it's a
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty good looking cigar.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, very excited about it. So yeah, I didn't really expect him to get me the Conviction $100 cigar. I was expecting it from you though, and.
It's not Christmas yet, baby.
Yeah, well, actually, it's after Christmas.
I think you got a bottle of Eagle Rare out of me,
I think
though.
I did. Yeah, that was.
That's not bad.
That was quite a prize. Quite a prize. Speaking of the fact that we are not Christmas when we record the show, but definitely Christmas by the time the show airs, and we've already done our Christmas beer show. I came across one more that I just had to include. I thought with Marc here, this will be perfect. This is a very special beer for the holidays called Very Bad Elf.
What'd you call me?
Yeah, Very Bad Elf. And this is an English beer, and I'm really interested to see where this came from. And I mentioned that this beer comes to us from Ridgeway Brewing in Oxfordshire, England. And Marc, made me footnote that so we could come back to it.
We're going to come back to the brewery.
Okay. I was going to say, you know something about this brewery.
No, but there's a tie to the final wine that we have today that I'd like to point out.
All right. So, Ian, have you had a chance to sample this?
I haven't tried it yet. It says, "Isn't it just my imagination?" Wait, is it just my imagination? Queried old Santa, purveying the scene, or is my elf getting worse and worse every year? What's next? Seriously bad elf, I'll wager. Mark my words. Well,
so they must have done a bad elf, and now they have a very bad elf, I guess. Seriously bad elf will be next year.
There's a very naughty looking elf on the
Shelf.
on the cover.
Yeah. Elf on a shelf, the scariest thing you can do to your kids.
Oh, it smells good.
Yeah.
Better than one on a stool.
Yeah.
Oh no! This year they have, and it's all over the place. Snoop on the stoop.
Snoop on the stoop. I like that.
Snoop on the stoop.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah. I want Snoop to do an advent calendar. I would totally.
What's
totally
coming out
do
of that? Gin and juice
yeah.
and joints?
Exactly. Hey, look, it's Christmas Eve. What do we get? Sativa. All right. All right. So
That's another show.
That's another show entirely. Occasionally, by the way, after we've had a few drinks, we will slip and refer to the show as Smoking and Token. So that's
a
happen.
different version. That's a spinoff.
Yeah, for sure. Ian,
This very bad elf is one fine ale, rich, hearty, and flavorful, brewed to an original 1795 Thames Valley recipe with a very special pale amber malt that is rarely used nowadays, and balanced with a modern. I got to choke.
yeah, balance.
Balanced with the modest addition of English Fuggle aroma hops.
So I will just say, every time I watch Ted Lasso, and I'm now watching the whole series for the second time because it was so good that I wanted to watch it again. And in fact, by the way, do you see my shirt?
Oh,
My wife gave me this. Be a Goldfish, which is from an episode of Ted Lasso. Love it. Anyway, every time I watch it and they're at the pub, I look at the beers in their glass and I think, I wonder if that's a good beer. Like, because some English beers are not that great, but there are some good ones. And so I wonder if this has ever shown up in
Have
the
you
glass.
tried this yet?
I have.
This
and
one is bitter.
I like it.
And it's delicious.
I think it's wonderful.
This is, I think, one of the more bitter beers I've had, and it's fantastic.
Certainly one of the more bitter beers from England.
Yes.
Yeah.
But bitter in a good kind of way.
It's got a lot of malt and almost that
Very roasted
the
caramel
dust of a
kind
pretzel on the front end, and roasted caramel on the finish. Yes. What do you think of this, Mark? Is this to your taste?
Now that you've listened to us palate plebes talk,
Yeah.
Oh, I like this better than the pirate water.
That is not necessarily a huge endorsement.
that's
I think no, it's
I was waiting for you to say it's special.
I get the bitter, obviously, because it's a great way to wreck your palate before we have great wine.
Oh,
There's
well,
that. That's
there's
okay. I have some other beers if you needed
Super.
to, swamp your palate a little
Get some
bit.
more pirate water if you want.
Yeah. But no, but I like.
No,
I
I
think
can
it's
see it
complex
as-
enough. There's a lot of that cooked, baked bread. I'm getting a little bit of that. Even some caramelly kind of
Yes.
flavors. The baking spices, things like.
I do totally get it
Cardamom.
as a palate wrecker,
Yeah.
though. Yeah, it definitely is that because of the bitterness.
I
So,
will be honest. I don't think this would go well with a cigar.
I don't think so either.
I think it would trash the cigar.
I think
No,
you're
but on
100%
next week's
right.
episode of Smoking and Token,
Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, we'll be opening up Advent Calendar
you
Day
can
number
taste
29.
the skunk right through it.
Yeah, right. All right, I like it, but I'm going to put it away now.
It doesn't
because-
change the flavor of my gummy bear at all.
Yeah, because we're going to have to do a little
that's
palate
for the
cleanse.
pirate water.
A palate cleanse of some sort, and I will not do pirate water for a palate cleanse.
Yeah.
So
Still got a little over there, I noticed.
I mean, there's a little bit.
All right, so
So I think there's enough.
do we want to hold on to this because we could go tequila now without that being a big palate emergency.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Why don't
Let's
we do that?
Let's
Ian,
do
let
that.
me pass you over. Then we'll hold on to the wine for the tequila. Can be our palate cleanse.
Okay, no.
All right. So this tequila is called Tequila Monte Fino.
Way too much information
It's
on
an
this bottle.
Anejo. There's very little info on the bottle.
Mostly
And,
glass.
the only thing that I can tell you about that bottle is that I have gone to the trouble to clear the plastic, off of the top and to clear the neck, so there's not a high risk of spillage. These are things that I do because I care.
That's you going above and beyond where you need
Very
to go.
thoughtful.
Well, you
do
got to
it
be
because
careful
I
of the
care.
equipment. You know.
Exactly. There's important equipment in here.
Yeah.
And so, we'll pour a little of this Anejo tequila. We'll pass this around. This can serve as the palate cleanse before we go back to the wine.
Perfect.
I think.
Love this.
It should serve to expunge the bitter of that very bad elf beer, which I got to say I really liked. I really liked that beer, and you liked it too, Ian,
I
right?
liked it too. Although by the second and third sip, I'm starting to get a little bit of palate wear.
Yeah, was that too bitter for you, Terry?
No, I enjoyed it, and I thought the flavor went through quick. It was quick and drinkable, you know.
Okay.
Palate fatigue, if you will.
Yeah.
But it was strong and robust,
I do
so
like
I see
it
how
though,
that
and
did.
I like bitter beers anyway.
Wow.
So
I'll just say on the nose on this tequila, pepper plus pepper and pepper and pepper.
and
yeah.
butter.
Yeah, there is some butter in there, but it's hard to detect it over the pepper.
Yeah, very much.
But you're right, butter
Wow.
and pepper are the two predominant notes.
If you like tequila and you like pepper
Yeah.
and you like a sweet buttery aftertaste, like cinnamony butter, kind of
Cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamony butter. Oh,
I was expecting, because of the color, I was expecting to get a much more wooded, oaky kind of characteristic
So-
from this.
This reminds me of a month I spent in Los Angeles, and it was in the summer, and I was staying at at an Airbnb house for a month, and so when I got there, I went to grab a few things I needed at a CVS that was nearby in the Hollywood Hills. And it was then that I realized, oh yeah, this is California. They sell spirits at the CVS store,
Yep.
right?
yes, and they will cause cancer in lab rats.
And so I'm walking up and down the aisles and just kind of looking, and there was a Hornitos Anejo tequila, and it was like $20. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how can I get an Anejo tequila for $20? And this is a brand I've heard of, at least. It's not like a Joe's Tequila. So I bought it and enjoyed most of that bottle the whole time I was there. But it was not bad at all. In fact, it was rather good. But it was almost all pepper.
Pepper, yeah. Hornitos is very pepper.
Yeah.
Like-
and that's what this reminds me a little bit
Hornitos
of.
is not also what I'd call a complex tequila, but it's pretty good at what it does.
It was good, although not that complex. This strikes me as a little more complex because I am getting, in addition to the butter, I'm getting a little maple and caramel, but the overriding thing is the pepper.
Yes.
pepper, and then cinnamon and butter, and
There's definitely that spice characteristic.
Yeah.
But I'm getting like cane syrup.
yeah, I can get that.
Right, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, I got that.
Mark, do you like this? Is this?
For me, this is a bit too sweet.
I agree.
It's interesting that it's that sweet,
And pepper.
considering
pepper,
how
yeah.
peppery
yeah,
it is too.
right. Yeah.
I'm not one for overly sweet tequilas.
Like Mexican
Agreed.
candy kind of thing.
I prefer it to taste like agave. That
Oh,
comes through,
yeah.
and I don't get a lot of that in this.
So I'm with you. And then in my añejos, I'm really looking for that barrel aged
Yeah, the wood.
wood influence to start coming through. But I do like this. It does come across to me as a little bit young. And I realize it's an añejo, so it had to be aged for like 10 minutes. But
I get a little bit of that on the nose. Okay, we're going for a double flavored treat here.
I'm not sure how
We have now
clear the-
added this to pirate water.
This is going to be the guy that brings us these amazing
I'm either
wines.
going to end up wearing this.
Or on a stool.
This is going to be one of those TikToks where this tastes like a yellow Jolly Rancher if you mix this together.
Yeah,
And I'm I'm not afraid to admit that was an absolute mistake.
It's very very big of you.
The sum of the parts was way less than either side of it.
Yeah. 100%.
You're welcome.
Hey, you know what? Never be afraid to mix. If you're not happy with this component and that component, put them together. See what happens.
How do you think this?
Unless it's ammonia and bleach.
Sometimes
don't do that.
it works, and that's rare. Just doesn't.
Okay, so this is not my favorite tequila. I like it. It's a little less complex and a little less along the flavor profile
Agreed.
that I love in añejos.
Agreed.
but-
The hug / bite to it is a little bit on the green side, I think. A little bit on the young
Mark,
side.
you're right. It's not agave forward. It's in fact I don't
pepper.
almost didn't even pick up the agave in this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
difficult.
But it is not bad. I believe this is about a $38 bottle, so it's not like a super expensive tequila. And
Well, they had to pay for the top somehow.
yeah, the top with the engraved wood embossed thing. Yeah,
This, I think, though, on the positive side, I think fresh tequilas, this will be fine.
yeah. I
It'll add
wouldn't,
enough zing to it.
I wouldn't mind trying this in some cocktails.
Yeah,
too.
I was going to say, it
Ordinarily-
might mix good with margarita
Yeah.
or something.
Ordinarily, I don't do a lot of añejo tequilas in cocktails, but this one might not be a bad idea
And you know what? Maybe even with just an ice cube, like maybe
Oh,
like you would
right.
have a scotch. It
to
might,
mellow it down a little bit.
take some of that pepper down.
I like it. All right, we are going to return here in a few moments. We're just moments away from drinking news. Plus, we have more wine to taste. But I thought, this made a better palate cleanse to go back to the wine than that extremely bitter Angry Elf.
Very,
beer.
very bad
very,
elf.
Very excited about heading back for some
actually
red wine,
cleanse my
and then
palate.
before the show is over, we'll do a little bubbly too. It's Smoking and Toasting. Bubbly. Show. Welcome back to Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, hand-rolled cigars, and today, of course, delicious wines. During the
love
break,
this bar.
during the break, Ian went and got a bottle of water, and we each have done a splash of water in this tequila Monte Fino, and I have to say it changes everything.
It's
So
dramatically
talk about
different.
it. Yeah. So talk about that a little bit, guys.
So what I got immediately, okay, so that youngness that we tasted a little while ago is still there. Like that's not going away. However, and that's not totally pleasant, but it's just a thing. However, the whole profile changed. The pepper gets tamped down a little bit.
I think way down.
The you get more of the butteriness, and there's a little cinnamon there, but also there's like a powdered sugar or a
So the
cotton
sweetness
candy kind
becomes more
flavor.
of a powdered sugar
Yeah.
sweetness.
It's-
It's completely different. Mark, what do you think?
Finally, some agave.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you
know,
definitely
it-
get agave. Yeah,
Really brings out a little, not a lot, but it does bring out a little bit of it, and it could have something to do with that powdered sugars, cotton candy thing that you were talking about. But I am getting a little bit of that agave, that vegetal kind of.
Yeah.
if
characteristic.
this had just a little smokiness to it, it would be a mezcal. You know?
Yeah, I
Oh,
could go-
yeah.
Mark.
I do love
Mark
mezcal.
Mark made a face. Does that not ring true? For
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. I think you're right. Yeah.
If it were just a little bit smoky, it would be a mezcal. I am learning to love mezcal. Like
also-
What's the ABV on this?
Also,
a
you
very good
mentioned
question.
too that the fact that the water was very cold may have tamped down a little of the pepper, but now it's
40%.
warming up a little
40.
bit. I'm not getting too much more pepper on it than when I originally put the water in there. So
right. I like it better with the splash of
definitely
water.
better
too.
with the splash
Yeah,
water.
I think, and that's interesting because while I do that on a regular basis with whiskeys, I don't normally think to add a splash of water to tequilas.
Well, and with añejo, especially those extra añejos that has the characteristic of the wood that it's been sitting in the barrel, that kind of thing. Then you want to kind of tamp it down like you would with scotch or with whiskey, that kind of thing. That's absolutely, people do that in Mexico all the time. It's not something that you do with perhaps an añejo, but I thought with the color of this, it might help.
Yeah, it was a
some of that
great
out, yeah.
suggestion. And speaking of Mexico, by the way, do you have a wine for us from Mexico today?
I do. Isn't
By the way,
this fun?
this is just a water that
just
you
straight
enjoyed,
water. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
figured palate cleanser.
Thanks. So the oldest winery in all of the Americas all of the
Americas.
right? And I'm not that guy that thinks that America is just the USA. Okay, all of the Americas is in mainland Mexico. Now, Mexico makes some really interesting wines. They make some great wines. They make a lot of wines.
All of the Americas, by the way, would be North America and South America.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's all of the Americas. Yeah,
All of them.
but you were
for
saying
those of you who are completely unsure, that's Canada, the United States, Mexico,
and everything else,
and then
in South
everything
America.
in South America.
Yeah,
And yonder.
exactly.
But there are some places in
Halfway to
Argentina, Brazil, Chile.
So
that makes
Argentina and Chile
Uruguay-
have great wines.
Great
yeah?
wines.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people think about Mexico when they think about wine. And that's because a good amount of the wine that is imported into the U.S. Mexican wine that is imported into the U.S. comes from Baja California. Not a
Right.
bad thing. They made some great wines there. But mainland Mexico makes some really fantastic wines. And there's an area around Querétaro, around San Miguel de Allende, that area that makes some really great wine.
So this is one of the reasons I love having you on the show, because I would never have thought
Yeah.
to sample a Mexican wine.
We've never been able to pronounce that.
Mexican wine is great. So founded in 1597, Casa Madero. It's 1597, and it's still an
fantastic.
operating winery, and they're doing a beautiful, beautiful job. There's very little of this Shiraz left.
Oh my God.
We've got
All right.
some at the lodge.
So this smells
Fantastic.
so good. It's so delicate.
And so there's so much more to talk about with this. We'll do that when we come back.
Okay.
Plus, it's time for drinking news coming up on Smoking and Toasting. Stand by, my friends. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And today, wonderful wines. And Mark, I don't mean to be trying to be like over the top here, but this is one of the greatest wines I have ever tasted.
Agreed.
From Mexico. So you feel the same way?
This is so, like, it does everything. It's the mouthfeel.
Yep.
Is oddly slightly thinner than I expected. It's slightly thinner than the last one. However, the complexity of this far outstrips almost anything I think I've ever tried wine-wise.
So this is a Casa Madero Grand Reserve Shiraz 2016.
Right.
Where did you find this?
So
I can't stop drinking it.
this is imported directly from the distributor that I legally have to purchase it from. And it's been always one of my favorites. And when I tried to get some more last week, I didn't think it was going to happen. I just threw it on the order sheet because I have them coming in. The owner is coming in for a wine dinner in January. And I thought, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And if I get it, I'll put it aside. But I was able to get some, and I was shocked about it. So I felt like I had to share it with you guys. 'Cause
So
it
I
was
wanna-
just so good.
So you would have this on
Can I-
menu at the
That's
at the
right,
restaurant.
Can I clarify something here? So a lot of restaurants will go to the local liquor store, the local wine store, and just that's where they're going to get all their wines from.
No.
You don't do that.
No.
No?
No, legally, if you have a permit, a wine seller's permit, you must purchase wine from a distributor.
Wine
So it has to be
distributor.
from a distributor.
That's
so you
right.
can't. Okay, so I have that wrong. That's how the liquor works. to
Liquor's
some
even
degree.
worse.
It's
Liquor,
just-
I have to purchase from what's called a Class B. Texas makes permit holders go through an extra step.
Right.
So
'cause
I
know,
can't
like,
buy from an estate sale. I can't. You've got a great bottle and I buy it from you. I can't do that.
Okay.
I must purchase it. It must have a stamp on it.
Right. Yeah, you gotta have the TABC stamp. But I know like a lot of bars buy their liquor from, say, for instance, around here at Specs or Total Wine.
That's because Specs is a Class B
Okay,
wholesaler.
so they have to have that.
Total is not.
And that's why. Okay, got you. Okay, so they have to have that. But I feel like your place, you don't have stuff that you can just go find at a local place here a lot of times.
Yeah, I get that a lot, and it's because, and I do this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I can't compete with the grocery stores. I can't compete with those people who are bringing truckloads of stuff in. So I source and I find things that are smaller production.
I love that about that.
Yeah,
About-
and so it's
Yeah,
one of
for sure.
the things when people come in and they're like, "Wow, I don't recognize anything on this menu. Can you help me? Let's narrow things down." And that's a hug for me because I absolutely love the fact that that people come in and want to experiment and go, all right, so it's not just the stuff that I can
So you
get.
can't find my favorite box of wine on your menu.
Box.
That's correct. I don't even need to know what it is.
I will just say before we get into drinking news, I will just say that this is
This is outrageous.
the best Shiraz I've ever had.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. What would this cost me if I bought a bottle at the lodge?
I think it's in the $60, $75 range.
You got to be kidding me! I
that's
was
outrageous.
expecting at least
Wow.
$100.
No, these wines have such great value and they're amazing. And you mentioned the Shiraz. It's not that Shiraz you drink with a fork stuff that you get from
Right.
certain producers in
Sure,
Australia,
yeah,
for
that
example.
are very
Shiraz,
heavy, yeah.
like Syrah, which is the exact same thing from France, can be produced in such this beautiful, delicate way. And Casa Madero's just got it right.
They really did.
I'm taking
Because-
pics for Instagram. I'm going to need some more for my glass.
Can I give you a kudos for this too? My sister and brother-in-law just went to the lodge. They were wondering where would we go. We're going to have a nice dinner for the holidays and stuff like that. Where we go, and I pointed them directly to the lodge, and they had such a great time. They raved about it.
They were lovely people. It was nice meeting them.
And
I love that.
and one of the nice things, one of the things I love about it, and they even said is when someone comes up and asks you, hey, what kind of wine do I want with this? In the most friendly, non-judgmental way, you're like, what's your price point? That's like straight up a nice like way to go. We're getting that out of the way right up front. Bam, and then you work within that. And it's not like you're trying to stretch that price point. You're like, okay, I got a lot of room to work with. And then you come up with wines that are just fantastic. You've done that with me and my wife. You've done that with everybody I've known that I've sent up there. It's just
I'm not afraid to ask that question, and it kind of can throw some people off, but I'll tell you why it's important. Because if your price point is $60, doesn't do me any good to bring you a $300 bottle
No,
of wine,
right, yeah, right.
And not only that, but I'm not trying to make you spend more money than you want. I want you to enjoy your time there, and if it's with a $60 wine,
Right.
I want you to be able to come back the next time and go, Mark, great, I've got $200 now. Let's have some fun with
Right.
this.
Let's step into the next price
Yeah.
point and see
yeah,
what we can
and,
do.
and I'm sure
I
you
love
have some
it.
clients where price is not even an issue.
Right.
But at the same time, it's nice to walk in there, especially with clients who don't always eat there. This is a special night out kind of thing. That's such a wonderful way to go about it.
Much as I love talking about this, and much as I love drinking this wine, we have another wine to taste, and we still have to do drinking news.
Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. Well, here at the end of the year, it is always a good time to reflect on any good things you've accomplished during the preceding 300
Objects in this reflection may be closer than they appear.
during the preceding 365 days. Maybe you helped someone in need. Maybe you comforted a friend when they were going through something really tough. Maybe you were in Vegas at a posh new restaurant and saw an unshaven man dressed in an outrageous leopard skin pants, drunk as a skunk, yelling at restaurant employees, and you decided right then and there that you were going to be the Good Samaritan. You were going to be the one to drive Nicolas Cage home. An overly specific example? Perhaps. But if you were the one who got Nick Cage home safely, we salute you. That man is a national treasure. Here at Drinking News, we haven't done anything quite that noble, but we'd like to think that many of the stories that we bring you might serve as a warning, a cautionary tale, as it were, that could best be summed up by the popular phrase, "There but for the grace of God go I." Because it could happen to any one of us. Sanity is precious and often fleeting. One day you're on your feet, making something of your life, standing tall, proud of your accomplishments, and then boom, something snaps, and you find yourself in Florida, involved in an activity that will land you smack in the second hour of smoking and toasting as the subject of Drinking News. And that's what happened to 45-year-old Robert Wilcox, a Florida man
Florida man.
who was apprehended by police in Clearwater during rush hour traffic. Was he driving erratically? Nope. Was he yelling obscenities at passing traffic? No, sir. Police arrested the Florida man for pooping on a possum.
Pooping on a possum. What?
According to the police report obtained by the smoking gun, Wilcox was
How do you
observed.
move that fast?
And
Who was
he-
holding the possum?
and
Wait,
here I-
hold on, I have so many questions.
Here I quote: "He was observed defecating on a deceased opossum."
Oh.
I love the fact that they called it an opossum. I love that. With his pants lowered and his anal region exposed. End
That's
quote.
pretty
I
specific.
mean, there had to be flies. Come on.
I will poop on your shoe.
Police actually.
Is it Friday already?
Is that a Steve Martin reference?
Triumph the insult
Oh,
comic
yeah,
dog.
yeah, okay, there you go.
Is it Friday already?
After being detained, I'm sorry, police actually witnessed the Florida man while he was taking his dump on the dead marsupial.
They watched it.
The report also stated that he did this during rush hour traffic and in plain sight for everyone to see.
A lot of people watched
Including
it.
the police.
After being detained and read his rights, Wilcox then
Wait. Did they wait for him to finish? I mean,
For their
I
own
just-
sake,
there's
I
so
hope
many
so.
questions here.
Are you going to interrupt him in the middle of that? No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, you go ahead.
After being detained and read his rights,
I'll wait.
Wilcox then denied ever pooping on the dead animal.
Oh, the Shaggy defense.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't me. He even told the cop that he doesn't see straight,
Wasn't me.
which forced the officer to then do some real investigative work to make sure that his vision was correct. That's right. The policeman had to go and closely observe the dead creature for himself. The report states, quoting again here, that physical evidence was viewed at the scene which corroborates the allegations alleged.
Wasn't me.
It's a tough job, but someone has to do it. So listen, the next time you get irritated with an officer of the law, think about the fact that not only do they potentially place their life on the line every day while doing their duties,
It wasn't me.
some
You said
days,
duties.
some days they may have to be the one to verify and report back to headquarters that yes, this is a dead possum, and yes, dispatch, we have a code brown here.
It wasn't me.
This man definitely cooked up a butt burrito and delivered it to a deceased marsupial.
In 30 minutes or less.
Wilcox was charged with a misdemeanor for exposure of sexual organs and booked into the Pinellas County Jail on a $150 bond. Yes,
That's it?
as English reformer,
Is the butt a sexual organ?
apparently, according to this. Florida, remember.
I mean, I'm just, there's a gray line there.
Florida, remember. But yes, as English reformer,
Sexual organs.
as English reformer John Bradford said for the first time in 1955, there but for the grace of God go I.
Wait. But for the grace of God.
Yeah. While the world as a whole is likely repulsed by this man's actions, there are some in the music community who have found it inspiring and say that they intend to write songs about it.
I'm going to go ahead and put the video right on Ian right now with the
And
ukulele.
so, as a public service to you, Drinking News now semi-proudly presents our top 5 list of songs to watch out for in the coming days about pooping on possums.
What about don't poop on a possum in front of the cops?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But it didn't make the top 5. Here are the top 5 upcoming possum
I
poop
did my
songs. Number 5, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Poop on a Possum.
Sure.
Number 4, Smells Like Teen Spirit on a Possum. Number 3, Mo Possums, Mo Problems. Number 2, Drop It Like It's Hot. The Possum Song.
The
That's
possum
the
song.
obvious
Parentheses,
choice, right?
the possum
Parentheses,
song.
And the number 1 upcoming song about pooping on a
Drop It Like It's
possum.
Hot.
Number 1, that possum thought he was number 1. I gave him number 2. Reporting live from Clearwater, where I'm guessing that this is one instance of roadkill that even Florida man won't be willing to eat. My name is Cruz, and that is your
Drinking news. Poor potty humor's still funny. Drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers.
Oh,
y'all.
nice.
Oh, yeah. All right. So Marc Borel, our wine expert, is here to guide us safely past the pooping on a possum drinking news.
He stated, he said that's all he was surprised that's how low it was. The fine was for, like, the guy who said, I'll just speed through your whole state because it's only $5 a ticket. Like, I might just go over there and poop on a possum.
Yeah,
just
why not? Why not? Might
Well,
as
I
well
got-
do it.
I got the day off.
Yeah.
So, with New Year's Eve closing in on us rapidly here, I'm very excited about what you brought that is bubbly. But interestingly, Marc, we had a beer on the show a little bit earlier, the Very Bad Elf.
Very Bad Elf.
That was from Oxfordshire, England, from Ridgeway Brewing, and you were remarking that this bubbly may be close, right?
So this is from Ridgeview.
Okay.
It also is from England, which is not a place that people expect to have
But
wine,
you
much less
brought us
sparkling wine.
great sparkling wine from England before
I did.
on this show.
I
Yeah.
did. And I thought that this would be a really great way to finish the year.
Ring in the new year,
Yeah,
as it were.
with some bubbles from southern England. So this is
Love
from
this already.
Kent and Sussex, the area on the White Cliffs of Dover, very far south of England.
So this is not really
They're almost
far
a-
from like France, right? From
That's
where
right.
Champagne
Nutty
is.
smell going on in here?
Just across the channel, the English
Okay.
Channel. So if the channel wasn't there, that soil will all be chalky. And
Yeah.
by the way, Champagne comes from the northern part of France.
Mm-hmm.
So what these people are doing are making sparkling wine in a champagne method. They call it method champenoise or method traditional. Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier, just like they do in Champagne. But they're doing it in southern England, and it's just a spectacular.
I am such a fan of sparkling wine, and
Yeah.
this is spectacular.
So
It's
I'm
so good.
still just going with the nose on this. There's almost a nutty kind of nose to it that, like, I never would have expected on here.
Yeah, so good champagne. Well, let me just say that good is a subjective word, and so champagne that I like often has that kind of bigger roasty brioche kind of quality to
A
Right.
little
it.
bit of that going on.
Yeah, and that's what you get from this for sure.
I'm loving what we get. I want to talk about it more when we come back, and we'll also wrap up the show, of course. Marc Borel, our wine expert, is our guest, and we love when you come on the show. And not just because you bring amazing wines. It's fun having you, but the wines today have been just outstanding. And they
It's the end of the year.
and they come from your personal collection.
They
so there
do
we
today,
go.
yes.
There we go. We'll be right back.
We
It's Smoking and
owe you
Toasting.
Okay.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And today, of course, delicious wines. And you know,
I can't stop smelling this.
You
It
know how
smells
I
so good.
you know how I know when we've had a really enjoyable show, at least for me, is when there's stories that I really wanted to get to, but I just don't care. To me, that's when we know we've had a great show.
We're going to talk about, I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's what we're talking
I had a
about.
whole
even know
I had a
anymore,
whole
yeah.
thing about the right spirits for your holiday meal. It won't be relevant by next week's show, and I just don't care.
It's these things that Marc brought. This is all the right
That's
spirits
right.
for your
On
holiday.
on
Yeah,
our
this
show,
is
tips
exactly
for
right.
next year.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, tips for next year's holiday meal. Remember,
Otherwise
these.
known as stuff we forgot to talk about on our previous 5 shows.
Now, I will say that on next week's show, we're going to be on location. Ian and I will be smoking cigars on Jim Heim's famous front porch. And Jim Heim was my special guest host while Ian was out a while back. That was a show that I invited you to. You couldn't make it, Marc. So Jim Heim came
Apologies,
on.
I was in tequila.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, we all have to do what we have to do. But Jim came on. He was a great co-host, and his front porch is famous for cigar smoking. He lives over in the east downtown area of Houston, but he has a wonderful front porch, and he's a wonderful host. And we'll be hanging out with him and talking about the year that was 2023. We'll be talking about our favorite cigars
I have
of
to
the year.
say, 2023 was less dumpster fire than 20.
Oh, 2022
20.
was the greatest. Which one was the greatest dumpster fire?
Oh,
2020?
2020 was pretty dumpster fire. 2021, I think, coasted by. 2022 was also a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and then 2023 was better though.
Actually, 2022 might have been a tire fire.
Yeah.
It was hard to put out. It's a little hard. It was hard
The
to get rid
Springfield
of.
tire fire, burning since 1951.
But I just want to
You know what I'm
say,
talking about.
before we get too far away from it, this is one of the most wonderful
This is outrageous.
sparkling wines I've had. This is just amazing.
It's so good. It's no wonder that the Queen or the royals, for that matter, they have their own vineyards, and they ask this particular producer to make wine for them, to make sparkling
sweet.
wine for them, because this is the wine that in England is all other sparkling wines are based upon, are judged against.
Wow.
This is just a really spectacular offering from the
I
Ridgeview.
absolutely love it.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
This
And
is. It's,
I mentioned.
There's almost a little bit of spice to it. Like
Right.
it's an interesting.
Now-
there's just a little bit of something different in
There's
this.
an underlying sweetness, and normally I have a tendency to balk a little bit at sparkling wines that have got a little bit of sweetness, but for some reason this one just works.
It's because there's that earthy, like,
Right.
depth that this particular wine has. I mentioned earlier that I thought it smelled like Comte, like cheese, like like a Swiss,
Right.
an aged
Or-
Swiss
sure,
Jarlsberg
yeah.
kind of.
Mhm.
It has that kind of that nose to it, but it's that bready brioche kind of bigness that you get from really good sparkling wines.
This
and I
would
love
be
this.
wonderful to have with a
Is this
a
something that
cheese like a Jarlsberg or something.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
is
some
this
nutty
something that you
crackers.
can get, or do we go to?
Yeah, we have this. We have all of these available at Rainbow Lodge.
What does this come in at?
80 or so bucks or so.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Totally
look,
worth it.
that's we
That's-
did that on
that's-
purpose. I could charge a lot more for this,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like you guys know I bring a sparkling wine every single time
Mm-hmm.
I come here. I love it so much, and
That
I
was
feel
Mark
that
Vember, by the way.
Mark Vember, it doesn't end until Mardi Gras, so let's talk about that again.
Okay, noted.
I love it.
Noted.
That's another story. But I think that I'm a big proponent of sparkling wine, and I'd rather you have sparkling wine than not. And I don't want price to be the reason you don't have it. So this is a really great one. You can get for less than $100. You can really enjoy
it.
this wine.
Absolutely love it. Mark, thank you for being on the show. And Ian,
been my
thank you for a great year, my friend.
Thank you guys.
And,
this is so good.
And I just want to say to Terry, who ended our reign of like unsavory producers, thank you for coming in and anchoring down the engineering duties.
What
on
he's
the
saying
show.
is, thank you for being more savory.
Thank you for
exactly.
thank you for having me.
I don't know how he tastes, but okay.
I know.
I'm just saying.
really my time, but
I'm
sure.
happy he has never tried to wear the same shirt I wear, and he is yet to embarrass us in front of a guest. So thank you.
There's that.
I appreciate that.
Day is young.
Get ready, Mark.
Mostly, I want to
Cheers,
thank
Terry.
our listeners and viewers. Thanks to our new listeners and viewers that we have found through the radio syndication
Throughout
this year.
Texas, throughout Louisiana.
We're excited to have that grow
Throughout-
in the next year, and we want to say, no matter what you enjoy it to the fullest. Even if it's something that we bagged on here, if it works for you, enjoy it. Do not be embarrassed to say, "Hey, this box of wine works great."
Also,
for me."
listen, if you've got a glass of Eagle Rare and you feel like putting some Coca-Cola in it, you do you, baby.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
just do you.
Speaking of Eagle Rare, thank you for my gift, sir. You were quite kind. And to everyone listening and watching, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you, Marc Borel, for being here. Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Cheers.
And
I finished mine a little too early, but that's okay.
we'll figure
I'll
you
survive.
out.
That's what she said.
I love
I've
that.
got a drip. Oh,
I love that. Oh. All
the
right.
man.
One more salute. That was what I was getting at.
It
Thank
won't
you.
stop.
One more salute. And we like to say, cheers, y'all.
Joe.
Cheers, y'all.